Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. MC Desra Maharani Busra and I'm from class D. And this video I will explain to my task from Mem Fajriani selaku dosen mata kuliah literature, and I will explain about Hard Times by Charle Dickens. Oke, slide pertama ada biografi by Charles Dickens. Charles Dickens or Charles John Hupham Dickens lahir pada tanggal 7 Februari 1912 di Ledford, Portsmouth, Hampshire, Inggris, dan meninggal pada tanggal 9 Juni 1870 di umur 58 tahun, tempat Bukit Gate, Higham, Kent, Inggris. Makam di pojok penyai biara Westminster, and pekerjaan sebagai penulis kebangsaan Britania. Karya yang terkenal dari sosok Charles Dickens ini ada The Pickwick Papers, Oliver Twist, A Christmas Carol, David Copperfield, Bleak House, Hard Times, dan pasangan dari Charles Dickens ini ada Catherine Thompson Hogarth Dickens. Okay, the second slide is the story of personal life of Charles Dickens. Charles Dickens was born on 7 February 1812 in Portset, Iceland. His father was a clerk in the Navy Post Office and was temporarily in the district. He has Christopher Hupham, regard to His Majesty Navy gentleman and head of N.L. Sabre firm, to act as godfather to Charles. Hupham is thought to be the inspiration for Paul Dombey, the owner of a shipping company in Dickens' novel Dombey and Son. This period came to an end in June 1822 when John Dickens was recalled to Navy Post Office headquarters at Somerset House, and the family except for Charles, who stayed behind to finish his final term at school, moved to Camden Town in London. The family had left Kent rapidly mounting debts, and living beyond his means. John Dickens was forced by his creditors into the Marshalsea debtors' prison in Southwark, London, in 1824. His wife and younger children joined him there, as was the practice at the time. Charles, then 12 years in 1830, Dickens met his first love, Maria Buttnell, thought to have been the model for the character Dora in David Copperfield. Maria's parents disapproved of the courtship and ended the relationship by sending her to school in Paris. The third slide is the other literary works of Charles Dickens. Number one, the first, The Pickwick Papers, Oliver Twist, A Christmas Carol, David Copperfield, and Bleak House. Oke, selanjutnya di slide keempat menjelaskan synopsis of The Hard Times. Mr. Crangrave is an educator and has two children, Louisa and Thomas. He raises his children harshly and emphasizes that they do not know anything other than factual and programmatic information. They live without beauty, culture, imagination, and lack empathetic sensitivity toward others. Louisa married a bank and factory owner named Joyce Bounderby. However, she eventually left him and returned to her father's house. The brother, Tom Crangrave, lived a life of moral turpitude. He robbed his brother-in-law's bank. After the incident, and compounded by the ongoing crisis, Mr. Crangrave realized that the way raised his children had ruined their lives. Okay. Okay, next slide. Analysis characters, hard times characters. Thomas Gradgrind. Mr. Gradgrind is a school superintendent who promotes an education based on facts alone, not all of imagination or emotion, please, and later becomes a member of parliament. His two oldest children, Louisa and Tom, read analysis of Thomas Gradgrind. And then Louisa, Mr. Gradgrind's oldest daughter, Dr. Charle St, to be the protagonist of the book. From a young age, she reasoned the education of facts, which she finds thoroughly enjoyable, and which receptor her read analysis of Louisa Gradgrind. And next, Thomas Gradgrind Jr. Tom, the second oldest grandchild, fares worse than Louisa in that his character is almost irrevocably deformed by his education for facts. He turns into a grumpy, sulky young man who ends up robbing. Read analysis of Thomas Gradgrind Jr. Tom. And the last, Josiah Bounderby. Mr. Bounderby is a pompous, arrogant, and successful factory owner who constantly boasts about how he is a self-made man. It is literally valid. He is good friends with Mr. Gradgrind and lives. Read analysis of Josiah Bounderby, Cecilia or CC Job. And the next slide is analysis story of hard times. Translation is not only a process of conveying equivalences of meaning but also a creative process, especially when it comes to translation of fiction. When translating such text, the functional equivalent of meaning plays an important role as a natural structure of paras in the target text. As the famous Bulgarian translator Cedar Florin once wrote, the translator must be proficient, above all, in the source language, even more proficient in the target one. Moreover, since books have been published for the mass reader who may not be familiar with the specificity of the source language, the translator's task is to make the target text not only reader-friendly but also informative, even to those readers who have never studied the source language. In other words, the translation should convey the equivalences of various components such as grammar, syntax, semantics, etc. as close as possible as far as context is concerned, whether it is a broader or a narrow one. Categories like register, style, or other forms of language contribute to the reader's overall comprehension of the source text, regardless of aspects such as grammar, semantics, register. The reader must not feel language difficulties disconnected from the plot while reading. Says an unsatisfactory translation could bring about attention deflection from the narrative. One the main linguistic aspect I will analyze is register in terms of field, mode, and tenor. As an important language category, register serves as a means of providing implicit information about the characters, the social setting, or the time in which particular events unfold. In fact, register can often function as a final touch on a character, a setting, or a situation. For instance, the distinct features of the novel's main characters, Mr. Gradgrind, are described through prescribed vocabulary, sentence structure, and grammar. The translator has put an emphasis on the character's strict tone by conveying not only the equivalence of meaning but also the consciousness and sharpness of his parts, which combined with his specific manner of speaking contribute to the overall portrayal of the character's matter of factness. Mr. Gregory's sentence served as a means to either communicate information by delivering facts or to ask particular questions expecting factual answer in return. Since both the social setting and the communicators remain unchanged in the first and in the second chapter, I will analyze them in terms of registers simultaneously. First, we shall take into account not only the speaker-listener's relation but also other additional factors such as age, place, time. Although this speech is supposed to be directed in terms of the place and the age of the listeners, the register has more of an academic pattern rather than a child later on. The speaker's tone and body language are invisible, which is conveyed by the other unsuccessfully imitated by the translator. That is contributing factor to the author's illusion about abusive education on of the main topics of the novel. The register tenor is consideration towards the interpersonal relation between teachers and students, revealed through the speech of the patronizing teachers and the response of his obedient listeners in the context of the classroom. In fact, it is more of an instructive monologue than a conversation, and it is conveyed into Bulgarian not only through the equivalences of meaning but also through the equivalences in form, including graphically. For instance, in the clause from the second chapter, you must paper it, which is conveyed in Bulgarian with Coba udah CPT. Most and tribal are both friend in italics. Dan selanjutnya adapun pesan dari novel tersebut, novel Hard Times, is Dickens' primary goal in Hard Times is to illustrate the dangers of allowing humans to become like a mechanism, suggesting that without compassion and imagination, life would be unbearable. And the last slide is reference of Hard Times by Charle Dickens. I think enough for me. Thank you very much and wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.